Probably one goal that I let in against Tampa. I think Corey Stillman scored it against me. He did a fake dump in.
Stillman is back on the ice. We're at equal strength. We're tied on the scoreboard as it scored! Corey Stillman catches Kevin Weekes wandering. Oh my goodness!
A sick head fake, and I bit on his head fake, and we ended up losing that game 4-3. That was a game-winning goal. So I'd say that was probably the most embarrassing moment as far as playing goes. That was probably it. What's up, guys? This was my Maple Leaf Gardens, not Air Canada Center. So again, kind of taking it back really old school. This was our Maple Leaf Gardens. As you see here, this is the building that we lived in until we moved to our first house in Scarborough when my parents first came to Canada. So we lived in this building, and apartment 301, and my aunt and uncle, my cousin lived in apartment 401. They lived right above us. My cousin Ian is older than me. He's born in '68, and I'm born '75. So yeah, he's 7 years older than me. He was essentially like my older brother, and oftentimes I was with him, and my parents knew, I could tag along with the older guy, and I'll forever be indebted to him for him introducing me to the game. You can see this street's perfect for street hockey here for the most part. We would put one net if we were playing a full game. We had one net here facing this way. Obviously, the other net would be down at the other end. When we had nets, oftentimes we had rocks. Until I was allowed to play with these guys because I was so young, I was basically the ball fetch guy like you see in Wimbledon, etc. So I'd have to go and chase down the tennis balls, chase down the street hockey ball. That was my detail. That's all they let me do until our main goalie actually ended up going back to Greece. So at that point, they asked me if I wanted to jump in the net, and I was the youngest guy, and I said, sure, I'd love to. One of our buddies, Dennis, lived at the third house, and they had 2 dogs, and I think this laneway had about 8 dogs in total. So that's where I developed my fear of dogs. This sign is an interesting sign. My goal was to play in the NHL and be an NHL goalie. But it's pretty interesting when that's your goal and then you come out here to play street hockey and you see a sign like this. Fortunately, we were never chased away from playing street hockey here. No city officials ever came. Cops never really bothered us. But nonetheless, it's kind of, I looked at it as motivation, if anything. The worst thing and the most embarrassing thing is when you knew it was time to go inside and your parents gave you a deadline, and our parents were real strict with this, especially mine.
I remember one day he was out there playing. I guess he wasn't any more than about 5, and he came in like actually frozen. It's a good thing my wife was home.
I had my mom, specifically my mom, come down from the building and come out and basically curse me out and grab me by my collar a couple times.
Anyway, a couple hours after that, the guys were knocking on the door again. Mrs. Weekes, can Kevin come back outside and be the goalie? And she said, you want to go? Well, go.
And you don't want to kill the game, especially when you're a goalie. You're not allowed to leave until the game's over. This brings me back to my roots because obviously, who knows what would have happened without me playing out here with my older cousin and our friends in the area. Who knows what my story would have been, and who knows if I ever would have played in the National Hockey League.
In front again, what a stop by Kevin Weekes as he robs Jason Pominville.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to my house in Scarborough, and welcome to Kevin's hockey room. This is where we store all the stuff that he has accumulated over the years. There's this very first jersey that he used in House League.
We all went up to St. Mike's Arena, which is really rich in history and tradition, and went up there and registered to play House League, hockey, ice hockey, as they call it in Barbados. So they were open-minded, and I think it was $65 registration at the time, and away we went.
And the good thing about it, the first year he played any kind of hockey, he won the championship. This is quite a story. If you look carefully, it says they're made in Barbados. Hockey equipment being made in Barbados, like that's a cricket town. But back in the day, Cooper did have a plant in Barbados, and they would manufacture the equipment there, and then they would ship it north. I walked into the store, and his first glove I took up, I said, made in Barbados. I didn't even know if it was good or not. I said, sold. Yeah, there it is right there. This guy is amazing. I don't know how this guy did it, but he put together all of these are all the stories when he first started playing at St. Mike's, and Ian, actually, his cousin Ian is the one that really, you know, encouraged him a lot. And in the end, he said in the NHL and drew a picture of himself. You know, so he had a big vision. He had a big vision. Look at that. You know who else is in here too? You don't see any other name here you recognize? There's Mike Becker. He's right there. That was his captain. That was Kevin's captain. They played together all their minor hockey. Yeah. This is where it starts, and you know, without this, there's no NHL.
This is my Stanley Cup jersey. As you know, that year in 2002, we made it to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Detroit Red Wings. Unfortunately, we lost the cup to them, but that's obviously my career highlight to this point.